Hey guys, it's Jackie here from Masters of Malaysian Cuisine. Let's have a look and make sure that we are live on Facebook. Guys, don't forget to say hello. Let me know where you're watching from, and also hit me up with any questions. We're starting a new ingredient this week. Can you see us on Facebook, Paul? Or...
I'm trying to get it to work, but my Facebook seems to have frozen.
Okay, let's have a look. Make sure that everything is running okay. Let's go in here. Okay, I can see myself in the event. I'm pretty sure live.
That's narcissistic.
Okay, it seems like live. But yeah,
yes,
and Paul,
you're live.
Sharing it in our MOMC group as well. Totally forgot about it. And anyway, guys, if you're just joining us for the first time and you don't know who I am, my name is Jackie M, and I am a Malaysian born and raised former restaurateur based in Sydney, Australia, and I specialize in Malaysian food, Malaysian cooking. But for this particular series, which is a partnership with the Malaysian Agriculture Counsellor Office in Sydney, Australia, I feature a different Malaysian ingredient each week and showcase different ways to use them. These ingredients are widely available, certainly here in Australia, and some of them are available overseas as well. And we are going to put up on screen a little bit later on where you can get a hold of them, all right? But in the meantime, like I said, don't forget to say hello. And I know a lot of our audience members are very proactive in terms of coming up with your own ideas of ways to use all these different Malaysian ingredients. So feel free to share them in the comments, and I will try and respond to them and certainly give you a shout out anyway about them. Okay, so this week, our featured ingredient is something that I had not actually come across previously, Paul. By the way, this is Paul Gray, who is in South Africa. It's a little bit dark over there because it's still early. There you go, a little bit better. But Paul is the co-founder with me of Masters of Malaysian Cuisine, which is a group of expert Malaysian chefs based around the world. And what we do is we share Malaysia through its food, through different forms of content, including live videos. Okay, but anyway, welcome again, Paul. This I had never heard of Kelulut, but I probably had heard of the term. I didn't know what it was. Stingless Bee Honey. Okay, until I was asked to feature them in this series. Okay, so now here in Australia, Stingless Bee Honey from Malaysia has only finally made its way to our shores, and it's really exciting because it's classified by the Malaysian government as Malaysia's first superfood. Okay, so this particular brand is Bayu. Okay, you can now get a hold of this here in Australia. Okay, and again, stick around to find out how to get a hold of them for yourself. Okay, and they come in different sizes. This is the dinky little one. There's an intermediate one. Here you go. Okay, and there's a large one. Okay, now Paul, by the way, guys, is our resident kind of like health fanatic to some extent. So Paul is all into nutrition and body hacking and all that sort of stuff. So Paul, I've asked you to go away and look into Stingless Bee Honey. Tell us a little bit about what you found out so far. And also, I'll bring you back a little bit later on to discuss it further. But in the meantime, make sure you stick around because I'm going to do 2 different recipes using Stingless Bee Honey in this session. Okay, so Paul, tell us, in a nutshell, what would you say to someone who's never heard of Stingless Bee Honey?
So, well, I was going to say I haven't tried it, which I'd really like to do. But basically, from what I've seen and what I've read, and even what I've heard from some of our chefs, is that it's basically a wonder drug for most things. And some of the things that really impressed me was because, like, you said it's honey, and I was like, oh, okay, cool. Honey, so it must be like heavy sugar. And then I found out that basically, so because of the way that these bees produce the honey in their body, it creates it that it's less sugar. So it's good for people with like diabetes and those types of stuff. And it's got like low GI for anyone who still follows the low GI diets and stuff. And the other important thing is the amount of nutrients that are in it. Like it's high, and I think it was like A, D, E, and
I've got a fact sheet. There's a lot of like scientific, like academic, like research in to Kelulut, okay, or Stingless Bee Honey. But we'll talk a bit about it a little bit later on during this program. So I'll say goodbye to Paul now, and let's get started cooking. Okay.
Good luck.
Thank you. All right, so guys, like I said, you can now get a hold of this here in Australia. It is a premium honey product. Okay, so you would usually use only a very small amount every day. Okay, and I'll give you some anecdotal experiences from some of our MOMC chefs a little bit later on as well about their use of Kelulut or Stingless Bee Honey. But okay, first of all, we're going to make a salmon. Okay, so everybody would know like salmon and like grilled salmon. Well, at least here in Australia, very, very popular ingredients. Okay, so I've got a chunk of salmon here with the skin on. I love salmon with the skin on. Okay, and what we're going to do, we're going to grill it, and we're going to use some Kelulut. Just let me see if I can find. Okay, just give me a second. Sorry about this. Okay, so Kelulut. Now, how is it different in terms of taste to normal honey? Okay, now Kelulut is actually not as sweet, and also Kelulut has a sour note to it. Okay, so it's not just outright sweet; it tastes a little bit sweet and sour. So that's something to take into account when you're using it in your recipes. Okay, that's the first thing. Just let me put some stuff away. I like to be organized. And the other thing about Kelulut is that it's usually a little bit less concentrated. Okay, now I'm going to talk a little bit about the version that you can get here in Australia. The imported version is actually more concentrated than what you would find at the Stingless Bee Farm in Malaysia. Okay, and there's a reason for it, and we'll talk a little bit more about it. But in any case, Stingless Bee Honey is less sweet and also a little bit sour. Okay, and we're going to use that to make a basting sauce for the salmon we're going to cook. So let's get started with this. Ingredients are very straightforward. And the second thing that we're going to do is I'm going to make a little bit of an East meets West version. Okay, here in Australia we love Vegemite and we love our buttered toast, and we're going to make a Kelulut butter spread on Vegemite toast, okay, using some homemade bread to make the toast with. Okay, so that's our second recipe. But first of all, like I said, we got some salmon, and let me just switch my camera view so you can see what's going on from the top down. Okay, so here we go. And before I go on any further, you can just barely make out my laptop over here. That's my Lenovo laptop. It's a Lenovo Legion. I use that for all my live streaming. So quick shout out to Lenovo for the laptops or the technology I use for my broadcast. Okay, so this is just a non-stick finger. I'm just putting it here. And I'm going to stick some oil in it. I'm actually using some, this oil looks a little bit orange. That's because I've used it to cook seafood before. Okay, so waste not, want not. I like to actually just save like anything like, I've used for other stuff. And in this particular case, it was probably to fry some prawn shells or something like that. That's why it's got the orangey hue here. Okay. So I'm going to talk a little bit as well. If you've always struggled with cooking salmon, with grilling salmon, how to make sure that you don't overcook it and all that sort of stuff, stick around to find out how I do it. Okay. So got a little bit too much oil. Let me just pour some of it back in here. And if you're just joining me now, don't forget to say hello, all right? Paul Gray says, salmon is one of my faves. Can't wait to see how this dish turns out. It's my favorite too. Salmon is healthy. Kelulut is a perfect match to go with salmon because Kelulut is healthy. Kelulut is the Stingless Bee Honey. Okay, so there's a chunk of salmon. I'm just gonna cook it with the skin down, okay? So what we're going to do, and while that's sizzling away, let's get some of this Kelulut honey. And I'm gonna show you what it looks like. And like I said, typically the advice is that you just need to take 1 teaspoon of this with your diet a day, okay? And like I said, we're going to, I don't want to like kind of muddle things up for you too much. So we'll talk a little bit with Paul Gray about like, you know, some of my chef's advice about Kelulut and some of the research that I've dug up online about it as well. But anyway, so you want 1 teaspoon of this, right? Typically in Malaysia, they would suggest that you consume it straight or mixed with some water. But I'm just being a little bit creative here in showing how you can use it in your recipes as well. But certainly, you know, you can just take it straight if you so prefer, okay? But to me, the sweet and sour flavor with Kelulut lends itself to a number of savory dishes as well, right? Think of anything that's sweet and sour and you want to eat it healthy instead of having lots of like white sugar in it to produce the sweetness, you know, maybe replace that along with whatever souring agent it is with instead some Kelulut, okay? Healthy, healthy, healthy. Okay, so what we want to do is some Kelulut mixed with some soy sauce. This is also a Malaysian product, so we're going full Malaysian today. Okay, so let's just pour some of that in. Now, the way I cook salmon, right, is that I cook it skin down and just watch as the color changes from the bottom up, right? And at some point, I'm going to flip it over and cook it a little bit longer, but you don't want to continue to cook after you remove it from heat. And if you basically cook it until it's completely cooked through, it will end up being too tough, okay? So that's the half and half Kelulut and soy sauce. And in lieu of soy sauce, you can use fish sauce. You can use seasoning, like, you know, the seasoning sauce that we used in our last session. Okay, so let's flip this over and just cook it. Hopefully it doesn't set off my fire alarm. Yeah, okay. So just cooking it through. Like I said, you want to make sure that you don't end up overcooking it, okay? Let's just put a lid on this. It'll help speed things up a little bit. And also, like I said, I don't want to actually start a fire drill in here, okay? And if you've got some pepper, yeah, add a little bit of pepper in here. But this two mixed together, to me, is actually really decent, okay? So I'm just going to brush it now with the mixture. You're going to find that it's not overly sweet the way honey can be, okay? If you like a little bit of tanginess in your fish, the Kelulut honey is perfect for that. I'm just going to turn off the heat because, like I said, I don't want to overcook this. If we were big on smoke detectors, I'd have one off many a time. Yeah, I know, right? The double-edged sword, these smoke detectors. They mean well, but half the time, well, almost all the time, obviously, it's really a false alarm, right? For me here anyway. Okay, so that's all it takes. I'm just going to baste it a little bit more. depending on how well done you like your salmon, right? You can actually take it off the heat any second now and just let it rest, okay? And then you can whip up some salad, and the salad can use a dressing that uses the stingless bee honey as well, okay? And that will give you a really, really healthy, summery, fish plus salad meal, okay? So this is really substantial and delicious as well. And if you like, you can sprinkle some chili flakes on it. And like I said, serve it with like a lettuce and cucumber and avocado salad drizzled with more Kelulut. Okay, so it's the stingless bee honey. Make sure you keep your eyes peeled for it here in Australia. Bayou, Australia, that looks delicious. Oh, thanks. Easy, right? Paul is just going to pull up the two websites where you can look up more information about Kelulut here in Australia. One of them is if you're based in Sydney, if you're near Bankstown, thereabouts, you can actually pick up Bayou Kelulut, okay? Like I said, they do come in different sizes. You can pick them up at Malaysian groceries in Punch Bowl. Just do a Google for Malaysian groceries Punch Bowl to find out the address specifically, and you can just pick it up. I've been there before. They're very well stocked for Malaysian ingredients in general, right? So especially if you're looking for stuff that might be a little bit nichey, but Malaysian groceries in Punch Bowl, if you're based in Sydney, Australia, is a great bet for you to be able to find it, okay? So there you go. Just nice piece of salmon. Like I said, that you can serve up with some side salad with some stingless bee honey dressing. And also, now, if you're based anywhere else apart from Sydney, you can actually order this to get it shipped out to you directly, right? And you can do that at bayou-australia.com.au, and Paul's just going to pull up the website for us in a second. And okay, so very, very quick recipe for that. Now, the second one we're going to do is we're going to cook up some toast. Put this on. And this is going to be using some homemade bread. Let me get organized here, guys. I hate clutter, so I want to move things out of the way as I go along. Okay, so let's do this. Loaf of bread, homemade. We're going to start toasting it. Let's do 2 slices maybe. Okay, so we're going to grill this. My first time using this pan, actually. Hopefully it works okay. Okay, so we're just going to toast this bread here for a minute while we prepare the honey and butter spread. Again, super, super easy. Okay, we're focused on showing you guys easy recipes so you don't think that you have to go out on a limb to be able to prepare these at home. Okay. So a bit of butter. I feel like I could use more butter. Yeah, I like a lot of butter on my toast. Okay, so again, Malaysian Stingless Bee Honey, okay? Let's just add a teaspoon here. Mix it up. And remember, it's got a nice little like tang to it, okay? It's not outright just straight sweet and sticky, okay? Use all the butter like me. Okay. Let's see how the toast is going. Good, 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 good. Okay, so you see the Bayou, the stingless bee honey. It's less sticky and thick, right? And like I said, it's less sweet as well. Okay, so we'll mix it up super, super easy. And this will keep really, really well. Just taste test it a little bit. Not noticeably sweet at all, but it's just got a really, really nice kind of like slight tang to it, okay? Okay, and being Australian, we're going to use some Vegemite. Vegemite is also healthy for you, okay? That's why I decided to go. We're going full healthy this week. We've got the salmon, which is healthy. We've got the Stingless Bee Honey, which is healthy. And we've got Vegemite, which is healthy because it's fermented. So let's turn off the heat. And of course, you know, you can use other stuff as well. You can add some cheese, some grilled cheese over this. But this just like makes like a perfect start to your day, because most people here in Australia, at least anyway, eat bread or eat toast for breakfast very, very frequently. And you might as well stick a little bit of Kelulut honey in your butter. Just mix it up together to produce a beautiful, delicious, healthy breakfast spread, okay? So Vegemite, optional. This actually has a lot of flavor already, okay? But let's just go with the Vegemite for those of you who are watching overseas. So I know a lot of people overseas don't really understand Australians' fascination with Vegemite. That's what I might just show you. Okay, now, a lot of people use Vegemite wrong, okay? If you live overseas, you think we kind of like eat it out of a jar. Maybe some Aussies do, I don't, okay? And you see I only spread just barely enough, right, to cover it, okay? I don't kind of stick a big gooey gunk of Vegemite on here, but that's all you need if you're just getting started on Vegemite, okay, with some Kelulut, okay? So there you go. That's your breakfast. This one is just straight Kelulut honey with butter. And look at it, right? And we're just going to put it together. So Kelulut honey butter toast, Kelulut honey Vegemite butter toast. Okay, there you go. Super, super easy. Let's bring Paul back on screen. And like I said, Paul is our resident nutritionist. Okay, let me just change my screen layout so that you can see me.
Don't let anyone from the HSPCA hear you say that.
Here you go. Okay. Okay, yeah, Paul, so what do you think? What do you think?
Honestly, I'm quite interested. Like, I like honey normally. So the
Uh-huh.
thing that there's like a healthier honey that has sort of like more nutritional benefits could be something quite nice. And especially now that you're like using it with the salmon, like I have this feeling it's something that, because you know how like honey is like really sweet, you know,
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
this is just a little toned down, which so I think it'll bring more flavor to the foods as well, you know.
Yeah.
So you don't miss out on the flavor of the salmon. Like if you add honey, sometimes the honey can be overpowering. So
Exactly. And the
I
other
don't know
thing about
till I try it,
honey,
but
I mean, people always talk about honey being healthy for you, but there is that issue with the GI, right? Because honey, for diabetics, it can kind of like be a little bit
spike
unsuitable.
your
Like,
insulin.
yeah, you're
Yeah.
trying to keep your sugar levels down. But that's where the benefit of stingless bee honey comes into play, because they don't have that effect, right? You can take it safely without worrying about like a sugar spike. So that's why it's great for, for reaping the benefits and the delicious flavor of honey without having to deal with insulin issues, okay? Or certainly like not at the level that you would otherwise with normal honey anyway. Okay, so I've got this set of notes about Malaysia's #1 superfood, okay?
A
These
natural
are some of
wonder
the things.
for wholesome wellness. Yeah.
Yeah, I wanted to mention as well. I said earlier that Kelulut honey typically in Malaysia is actually more, a lot runnier than typical honey, right? They don't actually, you don't actually farm them from honeycombs. Stingless bees don't actually make honeycombs, right? Their honey is produced in these little pots, and you use syringes to extract them. They're very, very rare, very, very like exclusive, very, very premium. Georgina Hillman, I'm going to try those recipes. Oh, thanks, Georgina. If you haven't already, make sure you sign up at my website, all right? Sign up at malaysianchefs.com/recipes, because I'm going to actually send everyone on our subscriber list the recipes directly once they're ready, okay? Which should be after this week. I will start producing these recipes to send out in PDF forms. Now, as far as Kelulut honey, the stingless bee honey, is usually a lot runnier, but the import version, because to meet Australian customs requirements, the imported version is actually reduced and concentrated, which means you get extra bang for its buck, right? So you can buy Kelulut honey in Malaysia, but if you buy it in Australia, the importers have basically, people joke about like export quality. This is export quality Malaysian stingless bee honey, because it's been kind of vetted through Australia's really, really strict import rules, right, which require them to be concentrated. So you're getting like a concentrated, more intense version of stingless bee honey. Okay, so let's quickly go through some of the some of the features and benefits of Kelulut honey. Now, I have to mention, if you Google stingless bee honey online, you're going to find an overwhelming source of like academic, like sourced articles. Hi Hisham, how are you? You're going to find a lot of like academic like studies about the benefits of Kelulut, even comparisons among different types of honey, because we know about Manuka honey, and there are other types of honey in Malaysia as well, which are also very good for you, but they have different like
They're still
areas.
honey.
Yeah, but like some are stronger in some areas than others. But Kelulut honey, stingless bee honey, is really considered the #1, overall top of the top of the pyramid. Okay, so let me just quickly go through the stingless bee honey features. Okay, this is produced by Bayou, which is the company that the brand of which is available in Australia at the moment. So make sure you keep your eyes out for where to get a hold of them, like Paul had pulled them up on screen earlier. So let me just quickly go through it, okay? It contains less sugar, we've talked about that, a lower GI for a healthier lifestyle, high and easy to absorb antioxidants. So it's got a higher amount of phenolic acid, propolis, and bioflavonoids. Okay, these are all very technical terms. Paul probably knows what they mean more than I do. Full of nutrients, contains. Yeah, do you?
I was going to say that the only reason I know what propolis is because we had like one of our toothpaste brands for the longest time used to have this thing with propolis, and I was like, what is this?
Exactly. It contains protein, amino acids, glucose, vitamins A, B, C, D, and E, and minerals. It's got medicinal properties, high in antimicrobial activities, and has restorative properties. Antibacterial, also antiseptic, antifungal, and antiviral.
I'll
Unique
tell you
taste.
something now.
Yeah. Okay. Tell me now.
I'll tell you when you're done. Yeah. Well, okay. Well, basically, so like when I was reading up on it, is one of the things, or one of the papers I came across is they were getting this honey or Kelulut basically to test it only for putting on wounds, because people have always known this thing of like, put honey on wounds because it'll help heal them or whatever. And normal honey actually doesn't really do much, but with Kelulut, it actually, because of one of the things in it, I can't remember the name of it now, but basically it is actually effective in healing wounds. So that's why it's a very good antiseptic, antimicrobial thing to have if you ever get it.
It's got a unique taste. It's sweet and tangy. Improves health, overcomes conditions such as diabetes, asthma, arthritis, high blood pressure, and also it improves immunity. Okay, so there you go. It's ethically farmed. Okay, this particular brand is collected from farms located near natural forests, far from towns and cities, landfills, or other non-organic farms. Does not contain chemicals. Stingless bees are less susceptible to diseases and pests, so no antibiotics or miticides are used. It's verified by Malaysia's Book of Records, the first stingless bee honey to withstand the sub-zero temperatures of Mount Everest. How are you, Hisham? Laboratory tested by ISO certified lab for each production batch. Endorsed by Malaysia Tourism Board, as well as by the Ministry of Agriculture and Agro-Based Industry, who are the people I'm collaborating with for this series. Highest quality, meets all 443 parameters set by Japan Food and Regulation Laboratory. And it champions communities. We ensure our farms do not harm surrounding communities and environments. We also create jobs for low-income locals. We support local businesses, and we preserve local food culture in the Malaysian states of Kedah and Sarawak. There you go. Trehalulose. I have trouble pronouncing that word. So a lot of different benefits associated with this product. Like I said, it is classified as Malaysia's first superfood, and lots and lots of different ways to consume it. I mentioned before that like the general dose that buys, because this is a premium product, okay? This is not something that you kind of like drink day and
pancakes in the morning.
But yeah, all you need to take is really 1 teaspoon a day, okay? And it's quite interesting because Chef Bob, our Masters of Malaysian Cuisine chef, right, who's the president of the Professional Culinary Association of Malaysia, Chef Bob actually has Kelulut, Stingless Bee Honey in a spray. Okay, here in Australia we haven't got that, but he takes a spray of it in his mouth. Okay, every morning. And Chef Bob has the craziest schedule of any of the chefs I know. He is always working night and day, right? And he says, he doesn't know, it could be anecdotal, but he says since he started taking it, right? Now, the other thing I want to point out, he did mention the first 30 days that you take it, you won't notice any difference. And I actually felt the same thing as well, because I have courtesy of Bayou Australia, I've got a couple of bottles of this. First few weeks I took it, I'm like, yeah, I don't feel any different. I don't, but now I do. Now I feel like I've got more energy generally throughout the day. And Chef Bob says the same thing as well, because he takes it in a spray, he sprays it in his mouth every morning. And even after a really long day, he's like, yeah, I think I'm good, sort of thing. So that's kind of interesting, isn't it? Again, these are anecdotal, could be psychological, I don't know. But, since we've been taking it, we haven't, I've been pretty healthy sort of thing. I mean, I'm generally pretty healthy anyway, right? But who doesn't need the extra immunity around you, especially in this day and age, right? So, yeah. There you go.
Without saying the C word, we know what you mean.
All right, guys. So just 2 quick recipes today. The grilled salmon. Here you go. Right, and it took like 5-10 minutes.
That's what I really want to try.
Debbie, how are you? Good to see you. And also the honey and butter spread, right? The Kelulut honey, Stingless Bee Honey, and butter spread that I've used to spread on some toast. One's a Vegemite toast and the other's just a butter toast. And they both smell delicious. I can't wait to tuck into them. Make sure, guys, if you want the recipes for this week's series and also all the previous 3 weeks series, make sure you sign up at malaysianchefs.com/recipes, and I will send them out to you as soon as they're ready. And also, finally, like I said, if you're just joining us now, if you're based in Sydney and you want to pick up some Stingless Bee Honey, you have to be quick, guys, because in this day and age with all the issues with shipping and with holdups and delays and whatever, I know the people at Bayou, they've just managed to get some product in, okay, but I'd imagine they're not going to last forever, okay, so you need to be quick off your mark to look for them, either at Malaysian groceries at Punch Bowl, or look up bayou-australia.com.au and order some online or pick them up at Malaysian groceries in Punch Bowl. Okay. All right, guys. Thanks again for joining me, and I will see you this Thursday at 7 p.m. Sydney time, which is 4 p.m. Malaysia, 4 a.m. in New York, and what time would that be in South Africa, Paul? 10 a.m. in South Africa and 9 a.m. in Europe. Okay.
Europe.
Yeah, that's the life of Jackie. I'm trying to calculate different time zones off the top of my head. All right, guys. Thanks again so much for tuning in, and we'll see you next on Thursday. Ciao.
Hi, everyone.